What's going on, everybody? Polo Sports Talk and Entertainment here again with another one. Be sure to hit that like button, sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notification so that you're able to get all of my content and all of my video. Now, Michigan State uh, legendary coach Tom Izzo basically came out and expressed himself concerning the the handshake rule. Okay, he's been very vocal about it, and of course, rightfully so, because Tom Izzo is one of the great college coaches to ever do it. And he basically stated that getting rid of the handshake line is is ridiculous. Okay, he said, "quote That to me would be the biggest farce joke ridiculous nature of anything I've ever heard of. We've already taught these poor 18-year-olds that when you're told to go to class and you don't like it, you can leave. We've already told these kids that if you're not happy, you could go do something else. We've already told these kids that it's hard to hold them accountable." He also continued on and he said, "And now we're going to tell them not to man up and walk down a line to someone who's kicked your butt and have enough class to shake their hand is utterly ridiculous." So if the president said it, I think it's full of it. I think he's full of it. If the coach in America said it, I think that gets me more than this incident. And he also said not shaking hands, that's typical of our country right now. I agree with him. Instead of solving the problem, let's make an excuse and see if we could just, instead of confronting and demanding that it changes, let's eliminate it so that we don't have those problems. Let's try to do that. Now, this comes after, Jawan Howard was suspended after the altercation that had taken place for the 5 games. And see, this is what we've talked about. Now, I agree with Tom Izzo 100% in this instance, because when you're young, all the way when you're groomed all the way from a child, when we talk about sports, any type of sports, whether it's basketball, football, soccer, baseball, all of that, yada yada yada, whatever, you're taught to show sportsmanship after the game has ended. And I think what he's saying is that now you're already telling these kids that you have a choice. You have a choice to do this. You have the choice to do that. Me myself personally, I think it should be mandatory after the game. Now before the game, you know that right there, that's a little bit different, because when you have two opposing teams that are in fierce competitive nature with one another, and they want to get at each other, they want to cut each other's throat and everything. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to shake each other's hand before the game begins, or because they've been having you marked on your calendar, for a very long time, and they have something to prove. I get that, but after the game, it's only rightfully so. No matter how much you don't want to shake that opponent's hand, like Tom Izzo had just talked about, you still have to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's a respect thing, too. You may not like the opposing player. You don't have to. Nobody's forced you to do that. But I think, like, you have to understand that you have men, women, and children that are looking at, especially when you talk about the youth. So they're gonna see this, and they're automatically gonna think that it's all right, to get the squabbling after the game, when they don't really understand the whole situation in its full detail, for them to realize that emotions get high, and testosterone gets through the roof, especially when you talk about two competitive teams and rivals, especially within the same conference. Now, I'll say this, okay? If they get rid of the rule, all they're gonna do is say some silly shit. And I already said that I wasn't gonna talk about the Jawan Howard thing, so I'm not talking about him per se, but I'm talking about in reference to what had taken place. They're already gonna try to make an example of Jawan Howard, much like they always try to demonize our African American brothers and sisters. Anyways, you know that's expected. If they get rid of that handshake, of course they're gonna pinpoint Jawan Howard, right? They're gonna say, "Oh yeah, well, if it wasn't for Jawan Howard, this rule wouldn't be in place." So leave it the way it is, man. Leave it the way it is. This is this is really just water under the bridge. They need to let it go, you know, but unfortunately they're not, and they're gonna just drag this thing on in the headlines, beat it, beat that narrative into people's heads like they all do. But here in the LDBC, we're here to tell you, okay, you getting rid of the handshake rule, that would be stupid. If you did it for college, then guess what? You have to do it for high school. And if you did it for high school, well, guess what? You have to get rid of it for, you know, middle school and junior high or whatever. And then it trickles all the way down to elementary. You see what I'm saying? So Tom Izzo is on point with what he's saying. This, like, we have to understand that there has been far more controversial stuff that's not even being talked about. But the fact remains that they never, those people that were at Michigan, while many people think that they welcomed Jawan Howard with open arms, that's not the case. That's really not the case. A lot of people, they wanted a different coach in play. Yeah, he was a part of the Fab Five and everything, but you know, they don't they don't really care about that. They want to market off of the Fab Five and everything. Now, I said I wasn't gonna dig too deep in it, but the point that I'm making is that, okay, he had a successful season. No, everybody counted him out, and now all of a sudden the guy, makes a mistake or whatever, and then next thing you know, you're ready to, of course you're ready to suspend him. People are talking about his job, and then also you're trying to change rules to make an example of him. You know what I'm saying? Which to me is bullshit. I'm just keeping it a stack. So I'm on point with Tom Izzo and what he's saying. It would be stupid for you to get rid of that rule, and if you do that, you would have to do it for all the levels. So that's my that's my thoughts on it, and that's my 2 cents on it. Y'all let me know what you think. Like the video, share it, subscribe, hit them notification. Polo Sports Talking Entertainment. I'll get at you later.